Am I the astronaut for telling his wife he cheated a year later? This is something I've gone back and forth about sharing, but I feel like I need to hear outside perspectives. A little over a year ago, I slept with a man I met at a bar. At the time, I was deep in addiction, mainly alcohol, and I was in a really dark place. I was 18 or 19 making reckless decisions constantly, and to be brutally honest, I was sleeping with a lot of men. Sometimes I even chose men who were taken. Not because I wanted to hurt anybody, but because some twisted part of me felt validated when I was chosen over someone else. It made me feel wanted in a time when I absolutely hated myself. It wasn't just sex either. I was addicted to the drama. I'd find their girlfriends or wives on social media and tell them what happened. I usually lied and said I didn't know they were in a relationship. Sometimes I did know, sometimes I didn't. Either way, I was causing chaos, and I justified it by telling myself they deserved to know. But if I'm being honest, I think I just liked the attention and the power. I've been sober for over 6 months now, and that clarity has brought a lot of guilt, especially about one specific situation. This guy I slept with last year who turned out to be married. I recently tracked down his wife and told her everything. I didn't expect a response and I didn't get one. I told her I was sorry and that I felt she deserved the truth. But now I'm sitting with this weird mix of guilt and doubt. Like, was I just re-traumatizing someone to make myself feel better? Part of me feels like I had no right to insert myself back into her life a year later, but another part of me feels like staying silent makes me complicit in his lie. I truly didn't reach out to hurt her. I just wanted to own up to something that's haunted me. So, am I the astronaut for telling her after all this time? Is there some sort of statute of limitations that I should have respected? I'm a little confused here, OP, because you say, like, in a lot of cases, I told them because I like to stir up the drama. I like to cause chaos. And then you're like, in this case, I didn't. I just felt like she deserved to know.
But if she's in something like a program of some kind, and this is her guilt and making amends, listen, at the end of the day, the wife has the right to know that her husband
regardless of the time since it happened.
Right? I don't think you're the asshole for telling the wife. I mean, the other stuff you were an asshole for, but you obviously had some issues and you were working on those issues and trying to right wrongs. And I hope that you stay on this path, and I hope that you heal from whatever it was that was causing the issues, because that what you were doing was not a healthy lifestyle for anyone involved in that situation. I do feel like the wife at the end of the day deserves to know, whether it's the same day, the next week, a year later, 2 years later. As a wife, I would want to know. So I don't think you can ever be the asshole for telling someone that information, and they can do with it what they need to, but someone stepped out and she deserves to, like, an honest communication from her partner, and he did not give her that.
I do not think the perceived statute of limitations is a thing. Right? I don't think cheating. That's a thing. And she does deserve to know. I do feel like the question remains, what was the primary driver behind this? Was it you getting off on chaos one more time? Or was it you truly trying to make amends here and try to start things on the right foot? The confusing part, or the dangerous part maybe for me, is that you, if this is in the name of starting a new chapter and starting to do things differently, you took a step that you previously took in the name of causing drama, right? So you did the same thing. And I feel like there's a danger with doing the same thing that you did when you were addicted to the drama and the substance or whatever it was. I think there was a lot rolled into that. It was the alcohol or the drugs or the sex and the drama. Like, you were addicted to all of it, right?
Yeah.
And this is getting another taste of it. I don't know for sure that this was all in the name of doing something right. It doesn't really matter. You're not the asshole for letting her know. That's the question, so we can squash that and be like, yeah, you're not the asshole for letting her know. For the involvement in it and maybe the driver behind it, I don't know. But specifically for letting him know, I'm going in TA on.
Yeah, I agree with you. But it's messy.
It is messy.
It's a messy situation.
It's getting sticky. Am I the astronaut for taking my fiancé away from his family? Here's the backstory. My fiance, let's call him Jake, was raised by his dad and stepmom, Lisa. His biological mom was not in the picture, and his relationship with Lisa has always been rocky. When Jake was 17, Lisa made his dad choose between them. That's red flag worthy. His dad chose her, and Jake was kicked out. They eventually reconciled until recently. So, okay. A few months ago, Jake's dad and Lisa asked if they could hire Jake's ex-girlfriend for their small business because they missed her and didn't think it was fair that they couldn't see her anymore. That led to a huge fight. Jake hasn't really spoken to them since. Wait, Jake was still talking to them? After Dad was forced to choose between stepmom and him and chose stepmom. And then they come back and they're like, no, we don't really miss you, but we really miss your girlfriend. We want her to work for us. Fast forward, Jake proposed. When I asked if he was going to tell his dad, he said, if he finds out, he finds out. I'll admit I was hurt. Was he ashamed of me? Did he think they wouldn't approve? But I respected his choice and with his okay, posted our engagement photos on Facebook. Soon after, Jake's grandma called to say his dad was upset he had to find out on Facebook. Jake went to talk with him and his dad accused me of coming between them.
Okay.
Then, Jake told him he was moving in with me temporarily until we found a house. That made things worse. His dad said that I was taking Jake away and that he was choosing my family over his.
Funny that you're making him choose.
Weird, yeah. The reality, Jake and I live 3 hours apart. My parents offered us a small house on their land so we could save money for a wedding and a home. It's temporary and makes financial sense. One of us was always going to have to move. Jake has said he might not stay in touch with his family, but I've actually encouraged him to maintain a relationship. Now they're saying I haven't tried to get to know them, but I've spent time with Jake's grandma and his friends, and we've made multiple attempts to hang out with his parents and sister. Each time they canceled. The only consistent effort they've made has been asking me to help out at their business. That's been their main idea of getting to know me. Still, I'm trying. I recently took his mom and sister to get their nails done to build a connection. I don't want to drive a wedge between anyone. I just want peace and to start our life together. I'm gonna keep trying, whether I'm right or wrong here, but for my own peace of mind, am I really the asshole for taking my fiance away from his family? What? Okay. First of all, what? Second of all, what?
Third of all, huh? We want to kick you out, but we want you where we can still keep our thumb on you and keep control of you. Like, basically, that's what they want out of life.
Sakura, that's an interesting take. As Sakura says, Jake is using her. I definitely didn't get that vibe from this. I mean, Jake's family kicked him out, and this is like the only stable, consistent person that he has now. And he proposed. So using her to get away from them? Is that the theory? I would offer here, OP, that continuing to try is actually going to just stir the toxicity pot.
Right.
Like,
I would agree.
I think the right thing to do for him here is probably it's got to be his decision whether he maintains contact with them or not. But right now, it's maintaining contact with them is like leaving your hand on a hot stove. Sometimes breaking contact is the right thing, the safe thing, the protective thing.
I mean, if they didn't try, would there even be a relationship unless they were just coming to work at what is the deal with having everybody work at the business?
I don't know. It's like they're using, I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. The whole, like, the only reason they're still reaching out is because they want you to work for them. You're clearly not interested.
Right.
So why is that conversation still happening?
What kind of business do they have? 'Cause
Yeah.
I kind of want to know.
I do too.
What kind of family business are they running here? But yeah, I think they just want to have control over the situation and have control over him, even though they don't want him living in their house. Like, that's a very weird dynamic. I mean, I don't know that we can say that Jake's using her without having like more context about their relationship.
Right. We do not have ages of OP
so we don't know how long
Jake
it's
now.
been since he got kicked out to the time where he's engaged.
I don't.
But yeah, I mean, I
I
think
just don't get it.
I would say you have to do what morally feels right to you, and if she's saying that to keep trying is what feels right to her, then by all means. But
I would contest that a little bit here because it shouldn't just be what feels right to you, OP, because you're not making this decision for you. You're making this decision for Jake.
yeah, but I mean, like, she has to be able to live with herself, and she knows what she can live with on a scale of trying to make a relationship work with his family. Because I do think at the end of the day, it's hard to just cut that out and just say, I'm done with this family and I'm no longer going to be a part of it. Like, that, I think, would be a multi-level decision that's going to take time for anyone, unless it's like a major thing. But
I understand that, but also I feel like Jake should have a lot of say
right.
in if they, as a team, are trying to foster a relationship and a connection with his dad and evil stepmother that got him kicked out of the house because she forced his dad to choose. Right?
My advice would be to move 3 hours away from Jake's family, put some distance between you, and see how often they reach out.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it would be very often, because you're not there to help them with whatever cartel they're trying to run.
Am I the astronaut for joking with my daughter about how much she was eating during a family reunion? Oh. Every 5 years or so, my extended family gets together for a reunion. We live all over, so we typically just pick a location in the middle of where we all live and then either fly or drive there. This time we chose Texas, and we decided to rent out a room in a barbecue restaurant. The meal consisted of a buffet, which could also be revisited as many times as you wanted, and they also had desserts and hot beverages available after the main meal. Well, my 13-year-old daughter, we'll call her Hannah, is going through her growth spurt, I guess, and she was eating like there was no tomorrow. I was the same way at her age, as was my older son, we'll call him Jack, so I didn't mind it too much. However, one of Hannah's aunts wanted to take a picture, and Hannah was still shoveling food. I have found that discipline works with adolescents when it's mixed with a little bit of humor, so I asked Hannah if she would disengage piglet mode so that we could take the picture. Her reaction was incredibly negative. Well, that's exactly what your 13-year-old daughter wants to hear. She wants to hear you call her piglet.
God.
She sat for the picture and smiled, but she clearly wasn't happy because as soon as the photo was done, she stormed away from the table and wouldn't speak to me for the rest of the night. It was just a bit of good-natured ribbing, and several people at the table laughed right along with me, but her inability to stop taking herself so seriously made her miss the joke.
What the fuck?
Oh, it's her fault. Okay. The meal was 2 nights ago, and Hannah is still beefing with me over my remarks. Every time we try to do something fun with her, she speaks to Jack and my wife, but not to me. Finally, I pulled Jack and my wife aside and explained what happened. They were seated at another table. Boy, did I get an earful. They told me I needed to apologize immediately, and when I pointed out that I would make jokes like that with Jack, my wife started saying something about how much of a double standard when it comes to women and how much they should eat. I'm considering apologizing, but I think it's ridiculous that I can't joke around with my daughter like I did with my son. I thought I had a pretty good grasp of how to raise teenagers, but clearly there are times when I'll need to walk on eggshells around my daughter, and the worst part is that I don't even know when I need to. I think that this is not one of those times, but my wife and son disagree. Could you please settle our debate? Am I the astronaut? Tater's like, you go first, then I'm gonna need the full screen. Like, you just go ahead. Okay, let me just preface this with a little bit of mood lighting here. I think it's cute that you think you have a good grasp on how to raise teenagers. Nobody in the fucking world knows how to raise teenagers. That's why they're teenagers. Okay? But the fact that you could say I thought I had a pretty good grasp on this while using this technique, those two things don't align very well. And you know, your daughter's 13 now, so I would think that the trouble with you delivering this kind of good old-fashioned ribbing would have already had enough of a negative effect for you to take notice and pivot this approach. You cannot be exactly the same with each child, period. Like, let's just say that. Not that you should say it to your son either, because he could end up self-conscious about this too, and you could be fueling a disorder in that direction. But you have to be very, very careful to not damage them during this very, very vulnerable time. And that is a dickhead move. To make matters worse, now you're like, I have been alerted to the fact that there's a problem. I still don't think there's a problem. There's a f***ing problem. And whenever somebody brings this to you and brings it to your attention, if you still insist on going the route that you typically go, or you're pissed off because you can't go that route, then you didn't get the message. You didn't get the memo. You didn't take it seriously. This is an opportunity for you to do better. This is an opportunity for you to have a better relationship. And instead of taking that information as an input, instead of adjusting your approach based on this new data, you're like, I really like my old approach though. Yeah, this is going to do some damage, but I really like it. Tater is jumping in.
I think an idea that I have is, son, daughter, whatever your child is, let's just not make jokes about food. Let's just a wild thought, but let's not call them a piglet and let's just handle the situation and say, hey, we're going to take a picture really quick. Do you mind hopping over here? Wow, it's like I didn't even have to register the fact that she was eating. I just asked her to hop into a picture, and I did no damage to my child. It's crazy. Also, just because you joked around with your son like this doesn't mean that he wasn't sensitive to what you were saying to him. I don't think anyone should joke about food. If you need to have a conversation with your child about what they're eating and healthy habits, that's a conversation that you have on a serious note. That is not a joking around conversation. That's a conversation that you walk into with both of you knowing what you're going to be talking about. But just calling your child a piglet at 13 and thinking that she should just take it on the chin and be totally fine with it. And then when your wife tells you that you're doing something wrong, and the wife said that there was a double standard when it comes to women and how much they should eat. And there is this standard where we're supposed to look a certain way or do things a certain way or fit into a specific size. And there is that standard. And your daughter is at a vulnerable age to have hormones, like all of these things happening at school, these expectations put on her shoulders, and you just fed into that. And then when people are telling you that you're wrong, you double down and act like you have to walk on eggshells. No, you have to learn how to treat a daughter, and you need to learn how to treat your son, because you are not doing a very good job. And I'm glad the daughter stood up for herself.
Agreed.
Like, I'm glad the daughter made you realize that what you did was a problem. And I'm like super proud of her for not just being like, just taking it and then internalizing it. No, she's letting you know that you up. And I think that's important. And I'm glad that she has the confidence to do that. Like, the son is telling you that this is not right. You need to apologize. You did something wrong. Listen to your son. I would say that he is more emotionally mature than you are right now, because he understands, because you did this shit to him.
Yep.
And he knows what it feels like, and he's telling you to cut the bullshit. Self-reflect and apologize to your daughter and mean it, like wholeheartedly mean it, and understand why it is wrong. Because that is the only way that this, whether it was fine 2 generations ago, it is not fine. And we know why it's not fine now. We see what it's done to this world, and now take the time to understand it and learn it and why you shouldn't do it, and then move on. Ask on one.
I knew that was coming. Ask on one.
You're a terrible human because you doubled down. And if you don't fix it, then just go sit in the black hole and think about what you did.
Am I the astronaut for telling my daughter to get over herself? There a theme developing here, Tony Spark? My husband said to post this here because he likes to read this sub and thinks people here give good opinions. I'm 50 female, daughter is 26 female. She is getting a PhD and is the first in our family to go to college, let alone grad school. We were talking on FaceTime and she mentioned she was meeting with an advisor to talk about submitting an application for a grant to go to Germany for 2 weeks in the summer. I said it sounded awesome, especially since I'm half German, making her part German as well, and that I've always wanted to see Germany, so maybe I could come out with her and make it a girls' trip. She said, it's not a vacation. If I go, I'm going to be teaching and researching and networking the entire time I'm there. I said she can do that during the weekdays and we could go out to dinner in the evenings, then go sightseeing on weekends. She said it's already a very cramped amount of time, 2 weeks in Europe, cramped, and that she wants to spend her free time networking with other academics there and making connections at the university. I said I'm happy to also meet the academics, and she said it wouldn't work like that, and she looked childish bringing a parent to all of the events with her. At this point, I was feeling completely tossed aside, like I was not good enough to be around her academic life and academic friends, like she would be embarrassed to have me around. So I said, you need to get over yourself and quick, because all of these academics aren't going to be the only people you meet, and not everyone loves her unconditionally to put up with such annoying shit and elitist talk.
What? You weren't even invited.
She said okay and hung up.
You invited yourself. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. I'm done.
My husband was upset with me because now she's being short with us, but I know he's also annoyed at her constantly going to all these research trips and conventions. A Hawaii trip, a Seattle trip, a DC trip, and whenever we say we want to come with her and we're not even expecting to be paid for, we paid for it ourselves, she says she won't have time, completely blowing us off. Research trips and conventions. So since my husband apparently now thinks I'm the asshole and my daughter clearly does, I figured I would ask here. That's the end of the post. As a reminder on the question in the beginning, it is, am I the astronaut for telling my daughter to get over herself? Well, I mean, you did do that, but you also did a lot of other shit.
You weren't invited. Like you just wanted to go. Just go on vacation by yourself with your husband. Why do you need to go with your daughter?
She's okay. Daughter is 26. Okay,
She
hold
doesn't
up.
want you there. Like she wants to go to work.
If you have a 26-year-old child, let's just accept that generally right now you don't get to invite yourselves on every trip they get to go on, okay? Let's just go ahead and put that, let's make that just a default policy. You, as a parent of a grown-ass adult, don't get to go everywhere that they get to go because they live an independent life now.
Also, I have no idea why she doesn't want you there. You sound like such a calm, like level-headed person that didn't call your daughter an elitist snob. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know why she wouldn't want you there.
Yeah, I don't know why she doesn't want you to meet her academic friends.
You sound really chill.
You sound like you're gonna get in there and shit on every single one of them. You're gonna get there and be like, why is it only a bunch of assholes here?
You guys think you're too good for us, right?
Yeah, this is not like reading a room, but this is like a social cue, right? This is missing out on a big social cue, I would say.
I have a feeling that daughter went to college, maybe far away to get away from mom. I may be a way off base here, but it feels like she might have been like, I'm gonna go all the way through school that's far away from here, just so I don't have to deal with my overbearing, elitist hating mom.
Where are you going? Germany. and much to OP's surprise, mom's like, oh, I'm part German.
Brand new information. Tony said that she posted a story that said, my daughter went into academics and she changed as a person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, your daughter went to college and left you behind because you're an overbearing mom who can't. It's time to grow up. Like, it's time to see what you're doing here is wrong and why I'm doing what I'm doing. But I don't know that she sounds like a person who is willing to have that conversation without placing blame on her daughter.
Yes. We got a theme going on here.
Exactly, magic drop. OP projected her own insecurities.
Yep. Am I the astronaut for getting my daughter what she really wanted for her birthday? I, 43 female, have a daughter, Jade, 16 female. Today is her birthday and obviously we celebrated it, but my husband started a fight with me and now I'm wondering if I was wrong. When I was around 23, I got a nose job done because I always hated my nose. I prefer my button nose to the giant one I had before. Unfortunately, Jade got my nose and she's felt insecure about it since she realized I had surgery done on mine, which was about 5 to 6 years ago. She had been asking to get a nose job since. I decided to get her a nose job for her birthday since I figured she'd be like me and always hate it until it was fixed, so I didn't want her to wait and suffer like I did. During her presence, I gave her an envelope with a letter telling her she would be getting one. Obviously, we would have to go get a consultation done first, but I would pay for all of it. She was so excited and I was so happy to see her happy, but my husband scowled at me, and after she was done opening gifts, he pulled me aside and said, "What the hell's wrong with you?" I told him I knew she hated her nose and that she was at the right age to get hers done, so I was going to take her to get it done. He said I was encouraging her to change herself and that she needed therapy instead to help see herself as beautiful if she truly felt ugly with it, and that he was mad that I didn't involve him in this. Not involving him, I feel like, is a fair thing to be upset about. I figured since it was my money, it really wasn't his problem. Okay, you're paying for it separately. He is anti-plastic surgery. He wouldn't understand how miserable it is to hate your own face because of one feature, and therapy wouldn't change how you felt because in the end, it's just the nose that's the problem. He has the ideal nose for his face shape, so he truly doesn't get it. He took Jade out for ice cream and told me he feels like Jade isn't safe around me because I will enable her insecurities and get them removed instead of letting her learn to love herself, which isn't what I'm hoping for at all. I worry now that he's going to convince her that I think she's ugly. Am I the astronaut? Well, this is a real pickle, isn't it? It's a real schnoz of a problem.
That was a lot to unpack, especially what's happening between mom and dad.
Yeah.
Look, I'm gonna say first things first, and I see mixed things in chat. But I believe that if she wants a nose job, she should have a nose job. But I believe that should be at 18. And then I believe that dad does not get a say in that. She's 18. She's an adult. She can sign the forms herself. She gets to make that choice. Mom can still pay for it. So I do think I would have waited the 2 years. I would have waited to like in between high school, college age, for that time period. But that's my personal opinion on that. If she hates her nose and they have the money to pay for it, and this is something that she wants, I have no opinions on that because I'm under the impression that it does not affect my life. And if that makes you feel better, then that's on you. But I do think mom should have had a conversation with dad.
Yes.
But what dad is doing is not okay either. So
Agreed.
I think both parents are sucking it up right now. And the daughter is in TA.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like we can throw an ESH there because of the parents, but not like daughter. I mean, she's just in this situation. The only thing she did wrong was get a present, which isn't doing anything wrong. So, but like I try to put myself in a position of as a father, if this were happening and I heard that my 16-year-old daughter was going to have an elective surgery that I wasn't part of a conversation about, like I would be hurt and there would be a conversation after that. Right. But like I also trying to put myself in the situation of if one of our daughters had something that they hated about themselves, and where would I be? Obviously, I don't want them to feel like they have to change something about themselves. Obviously, I want them to love themselves the way that they are. But like if there's something that's possible that would make them more confident and comfortable, then it would be a different discussion. It would at least be a discussion. I do agree with if it happens at the 18-year-old mark, then like I've got no say, right? You're going to do whatever you want to do at that point. I can be a guiding light for you, but that's it. You have to make your own adult decisions. And at that point, what we're talking about here would be the issue. I do feel like not communicating with dad here, because it is a minor child, is something that they're clearly not parenting as a team, right? This isn't a team approach to anything. They're doing everything separately, and that's causing some issues here.
For dad to say that he feels like their daughter isn't safe around her because she's like saying that she's a bad mom because she wants to allow this, I don't think that is.
No, that's not fair.
I don't think that's fair at all. And I think that if I was mom, I would have waited until she was 18. But I do think mom should have had the conversation with dad and tried to explain her side of it, tried to explain the daughter's side of it, and that they've had this conversation. I think that is the most important part, to present a united front and to work together as partners to talk to your child.
Agreed.
And they did not do that. And now they are actively fighting against each other, which is going to make everything 10 times worse.
Which is going to cause a rift
in
the relationship between your daughter and both of you as well, because there's going to be some extreme discomfort.
Learning about her mom's surgery gave her the confidence to talk about her insecurity. And as a woman who had my mom talk to me about things like that, hearing another woman talk to you in that way makes it okay to voice something that you feel shameful about. And so it could be as simple as that the mom gave her the opportunity to speak and sat and listened. Yeah. I don't know. I can't say for certain, but.
Which would be one of those conversations. It's like, okay, I felt like this for a long time, and I wondered how you had what you had here. And it could just be that that's when the conversation started, not that that's when the insecurity started. So we do have to at least recognize that possibility.
I think when kids, and I'm a girl, so I can only speak from my mind, but as soon as we can start looking in the mirror, we see things about ourselves and see things that my parents never saw that I felt about myself, or that I see things that my daughter has talked to me about that I have never seen within her, because when I look at her, I see perfection, I see love. Those aren't things that I see, but it's not right for me to shame her for having insecurities. I need to be able to listen to those insecurities, take those and work through her with that. And at the end of the day, if she's 18 and that's a nose job, then it. That's what it is. Like, I'm not going to shame her for that.
Right.
And I don't think we should.
The education probably would be a great communication to come from the parents, right? Not like, woohoo, you're getting this done. But okay, here are your options. And we want you to know that if you do decide to go this route, mom has said she's willing to fund that because she obviously understands what you're going through on that. And you can educate the other way as well and leave that option there, right? Receiving a gift that says you're getting one, there's kind of an assumption made there that's like she would choose that, but she was excited about it, so I think that's probably a safe assumption there.
Yep.
So where would you end up putting mom here? Am I the
think-
astronaut for getting my daughter what she really wanted for her birthday?
For me, it's an ESH for mom and dad. The daughter is obviously not the asshole here.
Agreed.
But mom and dad are ESH for me. I think they need to stop bickering and figure it out together.
Yes.
But I think dad needs to be open to listening, and mom needs to understand that she should have talked to dad.
And dad's about to get a freaking restraining order because he feels like
Yes.
mom will make her insecure about everything she's going through.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think the mom should have taken dad out of the situation. I think the dad should have definitely been in the conversation and not been blindsided at a birthday party. I think that's a lot.
Are you serious? You didn't tell me you had an STD? I tested positive. You ruined my life. My neighbor thinks he's running a motel, so I gave his guests a reason to check out early. My next door neighbor is literally a walking red flag. Tank tops in winter, backwards cap indoors, and a new girl every few nights. You think he's running a promo code for Tinder. It probably wouldn't have bothered me if he were quiet about it, but no. Every visit turns into a live show, and the neighbors are listening to slamming headboards, mattress squeaking, theatrical moaning, and him yelling stuff like, "Yeah, you like that?" Like he's got a mic in his throat. It's loud, it's late, it's beyond irritating. I thought maybe it was a one-time thing since he moved in only recently. Nope, it's his lifestyle. This man treats his apartment like a free-use room at a shady motel, and every time someone new shows up, I watch my sleep walk out the door. I did confront him nicely once and just said, "Hey, walls are thin. Could maybe you keep it down?" He smirked and said, "Jealous much? I could make room." Cool, game on. I printed a fake notice that said, "Notice, this unit is under pest control monitoring for possible bed bug activity. Visitors are advised not to sit on furniture or bedding until further noticed. Property management." I made it look serious, then I taped it right on his door. Bold and conspicuous. Plus, I was sure he would bring home a girl since it was Friday night, and I was right. He brought a girl home. She stops dead at the sign. Her, "Wait, bed bugs?" Him, "What? No, that's nothing. Ignore it." Her, "Nope, not doing this." She left quickly. I laughed. But apparently he didn't learn his lesson because a few nights later he brings another girl home, loud as ever, so I got a friend involved. She lives for chaos and has acting skills to match. The next weekend, we waited until he brought another date home, gave it a few minutes, then she marched up to his door and started banging like the building was on fire. He opens it up, confused, and she bursts in and starts screaming in his face, "Are you serious? You didn't tell me you had an STD? I tested positive. You ruined my life." The girl inside, gone in 30 seconds. Jacketless, full sprint. A few neighbors were already in the hallway. I may have given them a heads up. One of them started slow clapping. Another just said, "Yikes." The whole episode was pure gold. Dude has never looked more confused in his entire existence. He hasn't brought anyone back since. It's been quiet, peaceful, like the whole building finally let out a deep exhale. Damn.
You're
Wait, okay, so he didn't know that the bedbugs thing wasn't real either. He's like, that's nothing. That's nothing. Like,
Don't worry about it.
well, no, we'll worry about that later.
They apparently enjoy it too. This is amazing. And I'm so glad that she got her peaceful sleep back because it's probably not that great anyways. If it's,
Much?
if it's theatric and you act like that, there's no way it's great. He's such a like douchey McDoucherson here. Is,
Okay, when you're in like a cohabitated space,
right.
like this, I mean, there is some kind of reasonable expectation of peace and quiet, right?
100%.
I would think so. We did have a story, just to be fair, we had a story a few weeks ago where it was a neighbor complaining about someone else's like normal use daytime noise because they
was
worked
the
nights or
coffee
something.
grinder.
Right? Yeah, a coffee grinder. Oh yeah. And we're like, get some noise reducing headphones, but he worked night shifts and was mad at the world for making noise when he was supposed to be sleeping, right?
Right.
This is a little bit of a different situation. This is somebody who probably goes out of his way to make sure that he's as loud and interruptive as possible. So it's obviously not the same kind of thing. But FTG, that guy. Am I the ascot for not paying for my daughter's tech camp? I have 2 kids. My son is 17 and my daughter is 15. They have different moms. My son is from my current wife. Yes, he's older. My wife and I were together first when we were younger, then we split up. During that time, I married someone else and had my daughter. After that marriage ended, my first partner and I found our way back to each other. We've been married ever since and raised our son together from the beginning. My daughter mostly lived with her mom until about a year ago when her mom passed away. Since then, she's been living with us full time. It's been an adjustment for all of us. She's into science and engineering stuff, coding, robotics, that kind of thing. Her mom was an engineer and really pushed that. Personally, I don't think she's some genius. She's just copying what her mom encouraged. Good start. Good start, Dad. She's confident, always trying to show off, and people eat it up. It doesn't help that she looks exactly like her mother. Same face, same voice, same smug way of talking like she's smarter than everyone else. Her mom had made being a woman in STEM her whole identity. A few weeks ago, she got accepted to a summer program at a university out of state. It's a residential STEM camp for high schoolers. She asked if I could help with the cost, which would be about $3,000 total. I told her no. She's only 15. There are local and online options, and I don't think it's necessary to send her off for something like that when there are cheaper ways to pursue her interest. She didn't take it well and has been sulking ever since. She pointed out that I paid for my son's summer hockey trip, which is out of state too. That's true, but it's not the same. He's been on the same team for years, trains consistently, and doesn't ask for recognition. He's not constantly trying to prove something or angle for extra attention. He's steady. She always needs to be the center of something. Is this what you told her? About how it's different? Around her birthday, she started pushing for a Samsung Android tablet. She said it would help her watch lectures and use textbooks while working on her laptop. It wasn't even a hint. She came right out and named the exact one. She only brought it up because she knows I bought my son a new laptop earlier this year. I said no. Also worth noting, she has a significant inheritance from her mom. It's in a trust controlled by her aunt, and she'll get it at 18. So it's not like she's lacking resources. She just doesn't control them right now. Now, my sister is calling me out and saying I'm punishing her for being too much like her mom, but she was always close with my ex, so I don't think she's objective. My wife agrees with me. We are not trying to be mean. I just don't believe every teenager needs thousands of dollars thrown at them for every opportunity that comes their way.
He is 100% punishing her because she looks like her mom and acts like her mom. I'm sorry, genetics are a thing. I'm like, this kind of, I'm speechless.
So this is like, one of the things,
this guy.
This is one of the things that like, I always wonder if it's an issue for people who come from like split households, right? So like our blended family, I always wonder for our kids, like they have this combination of people inside of them. They're made up of 2 different people, right? That ended up colliding and not working out. Like, how do they feel about that? And in this case, like this girl has to feel that you detest who she is so much because she's like her mother. That's not a secret, dude.
No.
You even say here, like, your sister called you out saying that you're punishing her for being too much like her mom. Yeah, that's exactly what you said early on. You listed all these negative things and just like her mother.
And your wife agrees with you? Cool story, bro.
Shocker.
I'm sure. Yeah, that's crazy. Wild. I bet she does. I bet she's not at all part of the problem.
Sounds like there's a little bit of jealousy about this inheritance as well. Like he's punishing her for having this inheritance. And he's like, oh, no, I'm not spending any money on you. You got your own money. You just got to wait for it.
If I was this daughter, I would be pushing to go live with my aunt.
Agreed.
Because this is to send your son to hockey camp, but you're not even trying to see past your own, like whatever you have pulled over your eyes thinking that she's her mom. Like you're punishing her because of the way that she looks and because of the way that she acts. And it's
because
she's
it's
not
too
even,
much like her mom.
And she's not even doing anything wrong besides existing. You are end the day with a black hole because for me, you are a straight up black hole for judging your child like this and not allowing her to be an individual person and just painting her this way.
Let's send him.
Here he goes all the way to the black hole.
I agree with that.
And I also think you're a little bit misogynistic the way that you're acting right now because you're allowing your son to do these things and taking it away from your daughter. And to me, that's the biggest red flag we've seen of the day.
It could be the money side of it too. All these things could play into it. But to sit there and have all these things that you list out like there's something wrong with having an engineering mindset, like there's something wrong. And when you said no to her and said, it's different because I did it from him, you listed all of the personality traits that you hate about her, not anything she had actually done wrong. You just listed all the things that annoy you because it's too much like your ex.
I can't even imagine. Cher says, remember, she's not his kid. She's her mother's kid. He made that really clear.
Yes.
That's exactly how he made it.
Yep.
I can't
She's
imagine.
just a burden to him now. Right? How many kids have to go through this situation where they get this transferred resentment from their parents just because of things that they have, like physical traits or behavior traits that are from the other parent that they didn't work out with? How many kids feel the ire of that and can do not a goddamn thing about it, right? Like, that's rough. Hey, Dusty Thunder here, and I wanted to thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that content, and if you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and most importantly, share. Also, you can find swag and so much more at dusty-thunder.com, and you'll find even more content on all of our platforms. We're on TikTok, YouTube. We now have an official Facebook page that we'll be posting stories to as well. We have podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and so much more. You can see all of our content platforms on Linktree, which is linked in my bio. Engage with us wherever you're enjoying content, and do your best to avoid the Askonauts today. Thanks again.